It's budget crunch time in Sacramento, with Governor Jerry Brown and lawmakers split over whether to save or spend the unexpected surplus. More questions and still no answers about the Bay Bridge's scheduled Labor Day opening.
It's equally plausible that it would make sense to replace some of the other bolts after we open the bridge.
Is the America's Cup race too dangerous? The high-stakes sailing competition in turmoil and under investigation for a fatal accident. Plus, SFMOMA counts down to shut down. Scott Shafer hears from director Neil Benezra about the museum's major expansion project.
We decided we wanted to move out into the community in a really robust way.
Coming up next.
Good evening, I'm Thuy Vu. Welcome to This Week in Northern California. Joining me tonight on our news panel are Julian Guthrie, San Francisco Chronicle reporter, Tom Vacar, KTVU consumer editor, and Scott Detrow, Sacramento bureau chief for KQED's The California Report. After years of battling budget deficits and program cuts, California is facing a new dilemma: a surplus of funds. The amount varies depending on who you talk to. Governor Brown says it's $1.2 billion. The legislature's independent financial analyst has a far greater projection, $4.4 billion. On the surface, it sounds like good news, but it's setting off a different kind of hand-wringing. What to do when there's too much money? And Scott, what are the main arguments in Sacramento about how to spend this extra money?
Sure. Governor Brown is being the stingy conservative guy in the room. His point is, look, we just came through almost a decade of terrible budget deficits, billions of dollars, $20+ billion that we had to cut every single year. Sure. Let's be really careful with this. Let's be conservative in the amount of taxes that we think we're going to get over the next year, and let's take that extra money and let's save it.
And what are the lawmakers saying?
They are saying, hey, wait a second, we've cut and we've cut and we've cut. Now we've got a lot of Democratic votes here. Let's restore funding for schools. Let's restore funding for public services. And let's give more money to the courts, who are having to deal with these huge caseloads and are keeping their funding level. So we're about $2 billion apart here, which, again, if you go back over the last few years, that's nothing. But there's still a lot of differences that'll be hashed out over the next few weeks.
And so they'll be reconciling, or trying to reconcile, because they need to pass a budget by the 15th, June 15th. Does Governor Brown have the upper hand in this? I mean, he's doing phenomenally well in public opinion polls. Mm-hmm. He's now often referred to as the only adult in the room when there are big problems to fix. Quite an image turnaround for him. Mm-hmm. Does he have the upper hand?
I think that's a good way to put it. You're right. He's enjoying this moment of the sun. It seems like every other week a big national magazine is writing this glowing profile of him.
The Atlantic just had one on him, a very long, glowing profile.
More importantly for Governor Brown is that poll after poll shows the public backs him on this idea to direct more money to poor school districts, to be conservative. But, Governor Brown sets the agenda. He doesn't get a budget if the legislators don't vote for it. So he still needs to play nice, and he still needs to give just as much as he takes in these upcoming negotiations.
The question is, yesterday I saw him at a new center that opened up, a very environmentally friendly center. And this was the old Jerry Brown talking about the environment and how this is really big, and we have to really do something about this. And doing something about this is big money, to say the least. Is he talking out of both sides of his mouth here, or is he just talking to the audiences? What I'm really asking is, he is acting very much like a conservative Republican governor, but when you hear him talk, you certainly don't get that impression on other issues.
That's right. I think that even though Governor Brown has been out there on environmental issues, on those big spending issues like high-speed rail, when it comes to the nuts and bolts of the budget, even during his first term in the 70s, he was pretty conservative. Environmentalism is actually a tricky issue for him right now, because Brown has been talking about global warming the last few weeks, but at the same time, he's really angered a lot of environmentalists by wanting to borrow all of the revenue from our cap and trade auctions and use that in the general fund. They're saying, wait a second, this was supposed to go toward green energy projects, toward insulation in homes. We were supposed to drive this money to poorer cities, and now you want to borrow it and put it back into the budget. We don't like that.
So, Scott, what does this mean for the average person? Are schools going to improve? Are roads going to improve? What does this surplus mean? Well,
I think the one thing that Democrats would want to tell you is that even though they have 2/3 in both houses, your taxes are not going to go up this year. That's something that they've pushed back on a lot of rank and file members who said, hey, wait a second, let's try and get a new cigarette tax. Let's put a tax on soda. Let's put these measures through because we have the 2/3 that you need in both the Assembly and the Senate. But Governor Brown and leaders in the Senate and the Assembly have said, we're not going to do that this year. In terms of schools, that's kind of the big fight over the next few weeks because Governor Brown wants to basically keep things level but tweak the funding formula for schools so that poor school districts get more money. This is a very local issue for every politician. So the politicians representing suburban districts, more high-income districts are saying, we don't like this idea too much, and they want to see an across-the-board spending for all basic education after several years of cuts after cuts.
Good polls and big surpluses sound like things that get you reelected. Is this guy going to run again, do you think?
That's
true.
Lots of people are wondering that. He hasn't said anything publicly either way, but he also hasn't given any indication that he's ready to call it quits. Jerry Brown has been a politician for longer than a lot of the staffers in Sacramento have been alive, and he's doing well in the polls. He's riding this image right now of being the guy who fixed California, for now at least, so all signs pointing to another run.
Well, he's 75 years old now, so if he runs again, he'll be 80 by the time he finishes his next term, and that's quite a ride for someone who's really come from a political dynasty. I mean, his father, Pat Brown, was a governor.
That's right. And when people bring up the age, the first thing he tells them is his last time running 3 miles that morning, or he wants to tell them how many push-ups he did. So yeah. He's very quick to point out he's a very healthy 75-year-old and he's in good shape. But you're right, this is a career that spanned decades. And you talked about that Atlantic article. I think one of the interesting points was this is a guy who's gotten a chance to relive his 30s after decades of extra experience, and that's something that a lot of people would love to do, to get a second crack at things, and he seems to be taking advantage of it and focusing on those nitty-gritty government issues that he didn't really pay attention to as much the first time around.
Well, he's certainly enjoying his moment in the sun, but I also want to point out that busy week in the legislature this week. Lots of bills came up. They had to hit a June 1st deadline to stay alive and try to pass. Tell me some of the top ones real quickly.
Sure, hundreds and hundreds of bills passing. The Assembly passed a measure increasing the minimum wage. The Senate passed a dozen measures tightening gun control. It's already the toughest state in the country for gun control, but they passed more bills. These will be sorted out over the summer and fall. We'll see which one of them become final pieces of law. I think the biggest thing to point out that didn't pass was a statewide ban on plastic bags.
Huh. Okay, well, it's come up before, and it seems to die every time.
Works well on the local level, hasn't gotten through on the state level yet.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Well, it's been another tough week for Caltrans officials overseeing the construction of the new Bay Bridge. They faced a barrage of questions about snapped rods, corroded tendons, faulty welds, and yet more broken bolts, this time on the span's bike path. The grilling came during a meeting of Bay Area Toll Authority commissioners. And not only that, Governor Brown has ordered a system-wide review of Caltrans. Now, Tom, why has the decision about whether the bridge will open by Labor Day been delayed yet again?
Well, they want to basically do some more testing. They say that all of the bolts they've tested, which were not this defective batch that were made in 2008, but everything else that they've tested so far has come out clean. They're doing exactly what they were designed to do. They're doing exactly what they were expected to do, which means that they hope to be able to leave those bolts in the bridge, and that will get them a long way to opening by Labor Day. The other thing that they've got to do, and this is a much more difficult proposition, they have to build these enormous saddles. And these aren't just little saddles that fit over where the broken bolts were supposed to hold this down. This literally wraps the entire pier on 2 different locations. That is a big job under any circumstances, and they have to get this done in weeks. The testing won't be done until the end of June, so they say that by July 10th they will know to a fare thee well whether or not it will be open on Labor Day, which is what they're aiming for. The reason is very simple. They don't want to get past Labor Day for bad weather. They don't want to get past Labor Day because the bridge starts getting used much more as kids are back in school, and you know, we go about the business of business. And then finally, if it opens much later than that, then they're going to start getting into the holiday shopping season, which the merchants aren't going to like. So they are under extreme pressure to do this. On the other hand, in talking to just regular folks in Alameda one day, I asked 4 people just randomly, what do you think they ought to do? Every one of them said, fix it first, then open it.
Even if it means a multi-month delay if they don't open by Labor Day, for all the reasons that you just mentioned.
Right, and the thing that's concerning to everybody, and of course we should have been concerned about it for the last 24 years, is that the columns that sit in the bay on the current bridge go down about 30 feet. The new bridge, they go down 300 feet. In a major earthquake, and remember the damage that was done by an earthquake that was epicentered 75 miles away, if the Hayward fault goes off, or if the San Andreas fault goes off close by, that bridge that we currently go on is going to be severely damaged, if not rendered inoperable. So there's a real incentive to get this bridge up and running as soon as possible.
You talk about the things that happen if this doesn't get done by Labor Day, but my question is, this is something that's taken more than a decade to do. Why not just wait those few extra months and get this all taken care of?
Well, I think part of it is the real concern about the safety of the public. The other thing is this is embarrassing. Let's face it. This thing was going to be the showpiece of showpieces. This was supposed to be the most seismically advanced bridge on the face of the earth for a long time to come. And it's turning out to be not quite that. So like Barry Bonds' home run ball, this is likely to have a question mark or an asterisk on it, and that's going to be a problem for Caltrans, which is why recently the governor has asked for a top-to-bottom review of a group called the State Smart Transportation Initiative. Now, this is a group of 19...
it's not a review of it's not a review of that group. That group will conduct the review.
Yeah, it'll be a review of Caltrans. And this will take 7 months, and long after, you know, considerations about bridges are over. And the idea is to see, is there a better way to run Caltrans top to bottom? Are there best practices in other of the 19 states that are involved in this that can be brought to Caltrans? So it's kind of a punitive thing for Caltrans. But the reality is the way this bridge thing has been handled literally in the last 2 months, all of this stuff really came up in the last 2 months, has not been its most shining moment at Caltrans. And I think, frankly, the governor's a little embarrassed. And I know that people at Caltrans and at the MTC and at the California Transportation Commission, which oversees this, are embarrassed too.
Sure, it's causing a crisis, if you will, in public confidence. But I wanted to ask you also about that investigation that you just mentioned, ordered by Governor Brown. His administration says that it was not sparked by the recent safety concerns. Do you really buy that?
No, of course I don't buy it. And the reason I say that is that he's been governor a long time. And the issues with Caltrans have been around for a long time. The reality of the situation, and you know, and let's face it, Governor Brown is not exactly guilt-free in this thing. He was one of the guys
for him too.
that, as mayor of Oakland, helped delay this project because they wanted a tower, and Schwarzenegger, governor, then wanted to have a causeway, but Willie Brown and Jerry Brown said, you know, a statement would be better to make, and all of that stuff. And now what you have is something that, you know, 12, 15 years ago could have cost $1 billion, now going to cost $6.4 billion. And the question is, can we fix it in time before something does take that other bridge out, which is a real possibility.
So who is really responsible for these faulty bolts? Is it Caltrans? Is it the company? Who does it go back to?
Well, Caltrans made a specification for certain kinds of bolts, and there was some indication that you shouldn't use these bolts done this way in this application. But the engineers got together and said, we really do need to do this because this is an assault air environment and there's a lot of fog and there's going to be a lot of chance for corrosion, and really strong steel is really susceptible to corrosion. So in one sense it may have been a Caltrans, but then in the other sense, this company out of Ohio, Dyson, which has made bolts for the original Bay Bridge, they recently said, well, you know, we just built what they ordered. Well, you guys are experts. You build bolts for nuclear power plants, and you're going to suddenly say, well, it's their fault, everything's their fault. It's nonsense. All three of them are responsible. The contractor, the bolt people who made the bolts, and certainly Caltrans because of its specifications. In the end of the day, the public's are going to pay some of this, but not necessarily all of it.
Tom, before we leave this topic, I'm curious, does the upcoming America's Cup race have any bearing on the Bay Bridge, the new Bay Bridge?
I think the speeding up of how it was actually built, they were going to open it one bridge at a time, one pathway at a time. Those changes were made primarily so that you would have this showpiece done and ready for the America's Cup just secondarily to the safety issue, but certainly an important consideration was making sure that the Bay Bridge would be done for the America's Cup. But turning the way the America's Cup's turning out, that may not be such a big deal anymore.
Yeah, well, you know, and speaking of America's Cup, more troubled waters could be ahead for the race. The San Francisco Police Department will soon release the results of its investigation into the death of a sailor. The Olympic gold medalist died during a training run when the Swedish Artemis racing boat capsized earlier this month. And since then, America's Cup officials have submitted 37 new safety recommendations to the Coast Guard as part of its application to hold the regatta. No word yet from the Coast Guard on whether that race can proceed. Now, Julian, I know you've been following the race very closely. In fact, you just recently published a book about it. What are some of the top safety recommendations, and is it enough to ensure that these faster but less stable boats are indeed safe?
Well, I think there are two interesting things happening here. And one is there's a real push for safety in the wake of this tragedy of the Artemis sailor. So there are all of these recommendations. I think what I hear the most important ones are putting a limit on the wind that these teams will race in. So the last I heard is that they're going to put a restriction of around 23 knots for the Louis Vuitton Cup, which is the run-up to the America's Cup, and that they'd put a limit of around 25 knots during the main event, the America's Cup. These sailors are going through search and rescue training. Members of the Oracle racing team have trained with Navy SEALs. You know, they're dressed now like superheroes in these protective vests and helmets, and they've got oxygen canisters with them, and they've got knives in case they get trapped underneath. So there are all of these safety measures, and they're doing all they can to make sure this sort of catastrophic event doesn't happen again. But at the same time, and this is something that's conflicting, there's a real push for speed. You know, the networks didn't start to get interested in the America's Cup. NBC signed up to cover it in an unprecedented way, but that didn't happen until Russell Coutts, who's the winningest skipper, one of the winningest skippers in America's Cup history, until he pitch-poled the AC-45 catamaran, which is a scaled-down version of these boats we're going to see. So that event now has been, or that a video of that has been seen on YouTube by like 1.2 million people at this point. All of a sudden, NBC said, wow, this is pretty exciting. This is a high adrenaline race. There can be crashes. This could be the NASCAR on the water. And suddenly it became very exciting. So you have this push for speed and you have this push for safety, and they are conflicting. You know, this acceleration in speed in these boats has not been met by the safety measures. So they're just starting to catch up to that, and hopefully they'll find a balance between the speed and the safety.
It's interesting you should mention NASCAR, because the cars got so fast that they were crashing way more than anybody believed. So they put governors, they put speed limiters on the engines to slow them down. One gets the impression that in the San Francisco Bay, a boat with a hard sail as big as those things are simply overpowered for the conditions, and if they don't slow this thing down, it's going to be a crash-orama as opposed to a legitimate yacht race.
Well, it is, you know, and again, though, that's, you know, a part of the thrill around this particular regatta, but they are going to have to put the brakes on it a bit, and that's what these safety recommendations are about. But I also think there's been a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction where people have said they should cancel the regatta, they should scale back these boats, you know, reconsider, reimagine this whole thing. When you think about it, the America's Cup is 163 years old. There have been 2 fatalities in the history of the America's Cup. You know, last year, I think in San Francisco alone, there were 17 pedestrian fatalities. So you have to have a little bit of perspective here. It is dangerous. It's a high-risk sport. But when you get to competing at this level, you know, it really is all about who gets to the finish line the fastest. So there's risk inherent in sailing, and especially at this level.
But given the recent death, are any teams backing out of the race? 4 teams are slated to race.
Right.
Any dropping
It's
out?
possible. It's possible that the Artemis team could, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're all proceeding. I mean, think about it. They've spent years planning, designing, preparing, training, you know, all of these dreams on the line for the sailors and the engineers and the builders, and they're now 5 weeks away. So the last I heard is that everyone is proceeding. The big missing component that people are waiting for with great anxiety is this police report and what that is going to show.
And how long will the actual races last for? There's been so much build-up. There's been so much conversation about this. How much racing are we actually going to get?
It's going to be a summer of racing and all the way through fall. The Louis Vuitton Cup starts July 5th and goes till the end of August, and then the America's Cup, the main event, starts on September 7th. And you're going to be able to see it from the shoreline, which will be something entirely new.
And speaking of the shoreline and the waterfront, there's a series of concerts in connection with this, and actually some of them start tonight, and they will go on for several months. Julian, thank you. Julian Guthrie's book is The Billionaire and the Mechanic, How Larry Ellison and a Car Mechanic Teamed Up to Win Sailing's Greatest Race, the America's Cup. And finally tonight, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art is about to transform itself. The 78-year-old institution will close its doors on June 3rd to expand. It will add 225,000 square feet of space to the current building. During the 2.5 years of construction, SFMOMA will expand in other ways beyond its walls and directly into communities. While it's closed, many works from its signature collections will be on view throughout the Bay Area. KQED Scott Shafer spoke with director Neil Benezra about the goals of this massive artistic endeavor.
Neil Benezra, thanks for coming in. I know it's a busy time for you.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Well, remind us why the MoMA is closing. What's going to be happening over the next 2.5 years?
When we first began to plan for the expansion, the initial idea was that we would build a wing that would be, in a certain sense, separate from the existing Mario Boda design building from 1995. And then as we started to work with our architects, Snowhetta, it became clear that what we wanted to do really was to create a building that was seamlessly adjacent to and connected to the existing building. So it became clear that we were going to have to close the building. Then the question became, well, what do you do when you close a museum for a period of time? And the choice basically was, on the one hand, we could identify a temporary site for the museum.
Which other museums have done.
Which other museums have done. The Museum of Modern Art did so in New York. We decided we wanted to move out into the community in a really robust way. So we have exhibitions, the recently opened Marc de Souverault at Chrissy Field Show, just being the first of these, that are either outdoors or partnerships with other museums around the Bay Area, where we actually have our curators working together and we're lending our works to those organizations.
What about the moving out into the community? How did you decide what to put where and what to match with locations and so on?
We really wanted to engage in a kind of bilateral conversation. What could we do together that would be exciting for both for our audience and our membership, but also for the audience and the membership of those other museums?
Are we talking mostly in the Bay Area, or how far aflong?
We have exhibitions all through San Francisco, all the major and some smaller museums as well. Also the East Bay, Berkeley and Oakland, the Cantor at Stanford. But then beyond that, we have exhibitions that are going to be traveling up and down the state of California, mostly to underserved communities, which we think is a terrific opportunity. And then we have one international show that's going to travel at least to Paris.
What are some of the logistical issues that go with mounting that many exhibits at one time in different places?
Well, it's meant job security for a lot of staff members. No, but it's required all of our curators, all of our registrars, all of our art handlers to really work on this, so that these works are packed, shipped, insured, installed, returned in a very kind of seamless, effortless fashion.
What were some of the toughest things, or what do you anticipate will be some of the toughest things to move?
We are in the business, as a museum with a great collection, we're in the business of regularly lending works of art to exhibitions around, not just the country, but around the world. So this is something we know how to do. But the same challenges are in place if you're simply moving a picture across the street as if you're moving a painting to London or Paris.
And one of the main reasons for this renovation is to house the Fisher collection, which is 1,100 contemporary pieces of artwork. Talk about that collection a little bit and what it's going to mean to the MoMA to have it.
It's probably one of the, I would say, 10 or 12 best collections of contemporary art anywhere in the world. We're profoundly pleased to be able to keep it for San Francisco and the Bay Area and our visitors. And we struck what is a very, I think, innovative agreement with the family, where the pictures will be with us for a minimum of 100 years.
And what are some of your favorite pieces from that collection?
Well, probably the most celebrated picture, if there was one painting I was going to call out, it's an Andy Warhol painting called Triple Elvis. And you see Elvis Presley, gun drawn, with a silver background, wonderful painting. But also great rooms of artists like Agnes Martin and Richard Serra and Chuck Close and you name it, a great collection of Alexander Calder works. And what it means for our museum is that the Fisher collection was formed more or less in sync in terms of time and approach to the SFMOMA contemporary collection. So when you put these two collections together, you have really world-class depth and quality of some of the major, truly major contemporary masters from the second half of the 20th century.
You set out, the board set out to raise some $555 million, and you recently upped it to $610 because the fundraising was going so well and was so far ahead of schedule. What accounts for that, do you think? Why the excitement, the enthusiasm for this project?
You know, I think the stars are just aligned at SFMOMA right now. I'm the lucky beneficiary of this in so many ways. We have great board leadership. I think the fact that the Fisher collection is staying in the city and staying with the museum is fundamentally important. I think the fact that we've built the city a new firehouse because we've made a really interesting agreement with the fire department and the city, whereby we're going to obtain a piece of property that was occupied by an old firehouse, and so we built the city a new one so that we could take over the old one and build there. I think that the community of the museum has gotten behind this project in an unprecedented way.
And then finally, in the days up to the closing, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to participate.
So the museum will close. The lights go out on June 2nd, although we're going to be turning on the lights all over the city thereafter. But those last 4 days, from the 30th through the 2nd, the museum will be open free of charge. We're going to be full of nonstop activity. From the wonderful Christian Marclay, the clock piece that is this great video work that we're showing, to a retrospective of Gary Winogrand's photographs, but also a lot of performing arts, a lot of activities, family projects, and so on and so forth. It'll be a great time to come see the museum as it is for the last time.
And January 2016, doors open again.
Correct.
All right. Well,
Correct.
Good luck. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you.
SFMOMA will be free to the public through Sunday, June 2nd. It will remain open for 24 hours straight on the final day for the special countdown celebration. Tune in to KQED's live video stream at kqed.org starting at 6 p.m. on Saturday to join the event from anywhere. And that's all for tonight. I want to thank our guests for being here tonight. I'm Thuy Vu. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.